So today is a beautiful day. It's sunny, not too much wind, and I thought that maybe what we could do is we'll do a tour of the island, and I'll show you kind of what all the buildings are. You've seen all the buildings in my videos and photos and whatnot, but exactly what are those buildings, and I thought I would give you a quick tour of the lighthouse itself, some of the buildings, and you can see what's going on the island. So yeah, let's go check it out. So we can take a look at this building here. This is actually the newest building on the island. This one was done, I believe, within the last year, at least the last two. So why don't we go and take a look inside? Not too much to see inside here. It's actually where they do all the sewage treatment, and everything on the island is quite self-sustained. So all the sewage from both the houses go into here. Everything gets processed through the vats, and then it eventually gets released out into the water about 15 meters offshore. So you can see goes down through that cement pipe and then out about 15 meters off the shore, and gets released out into the water as good, clean, fresh water. So this is the Derrick, and this is used to bring in cargo and everything off of the boats when you have to do your loading and offloading of fuel, or anything that's a little too big for the chopper, and everything goes into this little house here, this little booth, and this is where you operate the machinery. So let's take a quick look. So it's pretty simple setup. We have a motor and your hydraulics to run, and you would sit here and move the levers to swing the arm in and out, and lift the hook up and down. So here we have the boathouse, and you might be thinking, like, boathouse, it's up on the rocks. Well, the way that the boathouse works is, if you have a boat or anything inside, you would open it up, bring the boat out to the dock here on wheels, and then use the derrick to lift the boat and then bring it down out into the water. And so inside the garage, we actually do, this is the assistant keeper's boat, and it's also where we keep our tractor, and we use the tractor for for transporting stuff from the helicopter pad to the houses and whatnot. If you have a fire, you would throw all the fire equipment in the tractor and drive it out to wherever the fire happens to be. So there's a little bit of storage. We have some immersion suits in the back, extra wood bits and piping, just miscellaneous and whatnot. All our fire equipment there. So yeah, that's the boat shed. On the other side of the boathouse, we have another kind of room. This is our workshop. So plenty of paints and supplies for upkeep of the buildings, making sure everything is nice and clean. Some tools and whatnot. Most of these tools actually belong to the principal keeper. And then you can see here we're doing a little bit of work on the lawnmower, getting it ready for the winter for storage, and then just some additional tools and whatnot. These are all sort of island tools, and they stay here no matter who happens to be working the location. There are two massive solar power panels that have been put up relatively recently, and these two solar panels are pretty much for all the power on the island that goes to all the extra buildings, like the assistant keeper's dwelling, the principal keeper's dwelling, etc., etc. The only thing these panels don't power is the actual lighthouse itself. We do deal with a lot of hazardous materials at times, and to keep everything safe and secure on the island, we actually have a small flammable materials building, and we keep everything sort of locked up in here so that if there ever is a fire or anything, it is protected inside this sort of little fireproof building. We have gasoline, diesel, oil, all the paints for the buildings and whatnot. Some jerry cans. Most of the jerry cans are empty. They're just used for carting gas around if you have to fill the lawnmower or fill the any of the weed eating equipment and whatnot, the small engines that are around. So these tanks are actually new. Most of the pictures that you see of the island have these two large yellow tanks, and they are the diesel tanks. So these tanks hold all of the diesel fuel that runs the generators for the electricity on the island. Now, again, as I said before, the generators don't actually run the light, but they handle all the other power needs of the people who actually live here on the island. So they replaced these pretty recently. These are brand new, and well, you can see they're pretty substantial. They'll be here for some time, no doubt about it. So the building here on the end of the island is the generator house, and this building was built in 1955 and is one of the designated heritage buildings on the island. So inside here we have our power. This is the battery bank that actually powers the entire island. This covers the keeper's house, the assistant keeper's house, and all the other buildings on the island. Keeps everything all nicely powered up. We got a small workshop area here for doing whatever we need to do, and then inside here we have the generator room. And of course, in the generator room we have two large diesel generators, and these go on automatically whenever the battery banks become too low. So if the sun is not powering enough to fill the batteries up, the generators turn on as backup. And of course, when the wind generators are working as well, then the use of these generators becomes even less and less. So we have two. One works 1 month, then the next month the other one goes on, then back to the first one for the next month, and so on and so on. So the generators are always, one's working, one's backup. We have additional backup just in case, and of course the fuel tank for the generators. And yeah, that's the generator house, the generator building. So you can kind of see these big trails of ladder equipment that go all over the place, and they hold all the power wires for the solar panels, and they go into the generator building. So we have two things kind of going on here. These wind generators are very new. As a matter of fact, they're not even hooked up into the power grid yet. That's supposed to be done soon. And then we have our incinerator. And because we don't really have garbage collection or anything, we have to burn our garbage and whatnot. That's not recycled. We do this very infrequently. We actually don't have a lot of garbage, so it doesn't get used that often anymore, but has been here for quite some time. So there's this odd, unique, low building that's on the northeast side of the island, and I think this is the one that makes the most hard to say what it is just by looking at pictures. And this is actually our water collection system. The rain comes down on the roof, then it goes into the gutters and then goes inside the building into a large cistern. Let's see if we can. It's kind of hard to see, but so it goes way down. Let's see if you can't really see it, but it does go down into this big giant hole, and it holds quite a bit of water that is our reserve for the island. Each of the houses have their own cistern, and then this one is our reserve if those other ones ever run out, like in the summer. There's a small building that you can see in photos, and this is, well, it used to be kind of a greenhouse, but now it's primarily storage. So we have a composting unit there, and yeah, it used to be a greenhouse, but now there's just some wood and some frames and whatnot inside of it. I suppose if somebody really wanted to, they could turn it into a greenhouse again and grow their fruits and vegetables. We have a small garden on this side. This is by the principal keeper's house. It looks like we got some good lettuce and whatnot going on. Some pretty good stuff, actually. So here's one that I'm sure people want to see. This is the actual light tower itself. Now, this tower was built in 1970 and is actually completely separated from everything else on the island. So this little room here on the bottom houses batteries. It has a solar panel on the top, and it powers the light itself. So if there is ever a power outage somewhere else on the island, or anything else sort of goes awry and we have to stop the breakers or anything like that, the lighthouse itself actually will still operate. So it's definitely a safety feature. The tower is a cement construction. It's 13 meters tall with the light at the top that flashes every 5 seconds at about 19 meters above the water. So why don't we go inside, and we'll go up the stairs and we'll take a look at the top. Great. So here we are in the top. This is the light itself. Whew, catch my breath there. 37 steps. So yeah, this is the light, and it rotates all the time. The light comes on automatically at night, and you can see this is not a very big room, but you can go outside. Oh, beautiful. So this is the outside of the tower, and for the people who end up working on the equipment and whatnot, they can go up the ladder, up the side. You can see all the different buildings, the boathouse. All right. So let's go back down. So there's a small building off the principal keeper's house, and this building here is our recycle center. So all the juice boxes, cans, pretty much anything that has to do with recycling all ends up in this building. There's a couple of first aid items and whatnot, so it's very central and easy to locate, easy to get to. So this little box here is actually where we take some of our readings, and inside the box you open the front of the cabinet, and there's several thermometers in there, and it tells us sort of it tells us what the temperature is, what the temperature was, and what the highest temperature, what the lowest temperature, and we have to check that twice a day, 6:30 in the morning, 6:30 at night. And then we have our rain gauge, so we use the rain gauge to see how much precipitation we've had, and we have to report these things twice a day. So the big house on the island, the one that's sort of right in the middle, is the principal keeper's house, and this is where where the principal keeper would live with his family. And it's a fairly good sized house. It's 3 level, has a basement, living level, and a bedroom level. And then off the back you can see there's like a little bit of a bit off the back. That's the office for the island. So all the paperwork and anything that has to do with any of the government work that we do, it all ends up in that little office. So let's finish our tour with a look through what a dwelling looks like. And this dwelling is the assistant keeper's dwelling. This is where I'm spending my time while I'm on the island. So yeah, let's take a quick look through the house so you can get an idea of what it's like to live on an island like this. Right, so we'll go up and through the front door. And first of all, you'll notice there's a nice little solarium kind of front entrance. This is great for, well, you can see they have lots of plants and stuff in here. You can keep your shoes in here and whatnot. As you walk in the door, this is your station area, and you have all the information that you need for doing your weather reports and whatnot. The living room, pretty nice living room. All the paint and everything is custom by the people who actually live here. Not all the dwellings will have a nice TV and a big couch and whatnot. So this is kind of subject to different on different islands. We have a nice book rack, lots of stuff to read. The dining area where I sit every day and watch the hummingbirds. Good sized kitchen. Stove. And I'm cooking some chili, so I've been there all day. We have a small pantry. This one has some books and stuff in it. It can be used for some small items. But this is the back door, and again another nice little area for your jackets and whatnot for bad weather. Then you have another pantry. This is a big full walk-in one with your refrigerator, and this is where you would keep all your dry goods. This is the downstairs. We'll go. It's kind of like an unfinished basement. There's some equipment. Your water cistern is in there. Your water purification systems. Your furnace. It's a nice little workbench. Drying rack for herbs and other things. Nice couch to relax in the basement. Your washer dryer, and of course you have an additional fridge and a deep freeze for all the food that you got to keep around all the time. So that would be a tour of Entrance Island. That's kind of all the different buildings and whatnot that are on the island and their function and what they do. It's not much, but you know, it's enough to get by. It's definitely the houses are comfortable and the gardens are good. It's not a very harsh way to live. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little tour. If you did enjoy, please feel free to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe if you want to know more, and hit that bell notification if you want to be notified when I upload new videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.